In today's speedrun on how quickly I can get myself checked into a white padded room, we are back to continue our quest to beat the Halo games as a Marine. This time, we're back at it again with a mission so absurd, you might think I've completely lost my mind, and you wouldn't be wrong. We will be attempting to beat Halo 3 ODST on Legendary as a Marine. Now, you may be asking, why would anyone voluntarily choose to dive into this insanity? And honestly, I wish I could tell you. In the base game, you are an overpowered ODST who might as well have been called a mini-Spartan, whereas playing as a Marine ramps up the rage-quitting potential of the game quite significantly. Fuck! And by that I mean the Marines don't have the stamina feature that is in the base game, so any and all damage I take affects my health bar straight away. And with the legendary AI breathing down my neck, this is a surefire way to make me want to Alt F4 in real life. So this is going to be interesting. We are going to be using the Halo 3 ODST Marine Edition, created by the Marshal 1. The link is in the description. This mod is played in third person, and with no weapon scopes, not even for the sniper rifles. We also have the health and animations of the Marine, as well as the visor mode being replaced with a weapon flashlight. So not only am I limited to what I can see in the streets of New Mombasa and dark sections of the game, I also won't be able to see the outlines of enemies, objectives, or any audio logs scattered throughout the city. And as if this mod wasn't hard enough, I also decided to add more skulls than our Halo 3 run for this playthrough, further adding to my already high blood pressure, because why not make this mod 10 times harder for myself? Maybe I am just a masochist, I just don't know. Along with my body being made up of the same consistency as a soggy piece of bread, the skulls we have added alongside anger and that's just wrong, are famine and tough luck, forcing every member of the Covenant to have their spider senses dialed up to 11 and are able to dodge my grenades. And on top of that, all the weapons have half the ammo they normally would, making some encounters to pucker the arsehole of the most veteran Halo players. I have no idea why I do these things to myself. Let me tell you now, this run was probably worse than doing the library as a Marine, as this run was enough to rupture my delicate aneurysm. Regardless of what may wait for me ahead, I wasn't going to back down from this challenge. Our adventure starts off with our Marine, Dave the Marine's third cousin, waking up from his nap inside an ODST pod. With no idea how he got there, all he knows is that he must find his missing squad and continue his mission to locate the city's pawn data hive. How has this plot made it into ODST? As we Metal Gear our way around the streets and past these troglodytes, something becomes clear to me, and that was that we would have to eventually fight the Covenant in this area in order to progress.
It's so dumb.
So we start off by shooting these grunts in the head, making their heads explode into confetti. Oh, I also turned on the grunt birthday skull for this run, as with the lack of visor mode, it was a visual sign to me that I actually killed a grunt. Our high self-esteem was short-lived however, as this Neanderthal quickly demonstrated how fast we actually die in this mod. The real challenge wasn't beating this game, it was that I didn't slip into deep psychosis by repeating this section for the next half an hour. Returning to the streets once again, the That's Just Wrong skull decided it was going to be a real factor in this run. Sure, on the surface it felt like we were playing the Halo 3 ODST we all know and loved, but this brute with a carbine seemed to be more trouble than he was actually worth. And not having a stamina feature was proving to be a real issue of its own, as I would have to adapt my playstyle to something different. What that difference was, however, I have no idea. You would think after doing this 3 times before, I would have some idea of what I was doing. I don't. With my chances of survival less than a piñata at a kid's birthday party, I was able to put King Kong down after a further 4 deaths by playing peekaboo with him around this pillar. Once I got hold of the carbine, the rest of the Covenant were easy pickings. We were then free to connect to the city's free Wi-Fi and get the location of our first clue to the whereabouts of our squad. However, we were immediately halted in our tracks by this grunt who decided to give me an unhealthy serving of a plasma grenade to my foot. Using what brain cells we had left, we managed to mop up these troglodytes and make our way to the first clue, being Dare's helmet that was stuck within a TV screen. After placing our hands on that recon helmet that we all wanted back in 2008, we gained the ability to transport our consciousness into our squad mates in the past. Our first flashback mission takes us back to the events where the Pickled Egg of Regret nuked the city back in Mission 3 of Halo 2, causing the city to fall into chaos and the Marine squad left scattered. Nathan Fillion only had one thing on his mind, and that was to save his not-so-current girlfriend from being trapped within her pod, as she knew the details of their mission. This porn storyline is already bad, isn't it? I should stop while I'm ahead. With the inability to use weapon scopes, this section proved to be more difficult than it needed to be, as I would have to rely on my pinpoint accuracy. That wouldn't be a problem if I didn't have the aim of a stormtrooper that had Parkinson's. Regardless of my questionable aim, we managed to clear out this section full of Covenant, only to get sent back to the start of the mission by this chimp with a brute shot. Let's just say brute shots are going to be a real problem in this run. With my enjoyment already dropping to a staggering -1, we were already getting our human rights violated, and this is only the first real mission of the game. After around 20 minutes of dying and hiding behind most things that explode, we were able to make some progress and join up with some Marines, who told us to commit a felony home invasion by going through the buildings just to get the jump on the Covenant. The plan seemed to be going well at first, but the dopamine being deployed to my brain was suddenly expired, as this oversized monkey in his pajamas put me down faster than you could say Captain Keyes' porn hard drive. Don't worry, that storyline will continue. With our ammo situation already looking bleak, my only chance was to scavenge up what weapons I could for what ammo they had. Now, in this mod, you can pick up turrets and use brute shots, but as a personal rule to myself, I decided not to use them, as if our ODST couldn't use them in our Halo 3 run, why should this Marine be able to do it? I guess I just want myself to suffer even more than I already am. Moving along, we run into the spawn of the devil themselves, the Jackals, and let me just say, my hatred for the flightless turkeys has never been so high, as you will see later on.
What the f-
Once these nerds were dealt with, we proceed into this section, that no word of a lie, took me over 2 hours to get past. This section is filled with so many brutes with brute shots, grunts, turrets, sniper goblins, and to make matters worse, a pair of hunters joined mid-fight, and with my Marine's fragile body, I got abused so much. Not just by the hunters asserting their dominance over me, but I also kept getting one-tapped by Hawkeye.
Damn it!
I was struggling. This section brought my sanity to a new low. To a point where I was just making sounds and having fits at my desk. I'm pretty sure my dog thought I was having a seizure at one point. And I probably was. I couldn't tell you how many times I had to listen to Buck Wild tell Dare that he'll be right there.
Whoa, hang on, I'll be right there.
The Covenant wasn't really the main issue here. It was these two hunters stopping me in my tracks. I was only able to take one of them down, before this pimped out gold hunter decided to defy the laws of physics and punch me through a solid pillar or a wall. This challenge is great, and I really love it. This gold hunter was rapidly climbing the list of enemies I despise in Halo, so fast that it felt like he was going for a world record. Not only were these hunters abusing my human rights, but I ended up dying to something that no other Halo player has ever died from.
How did I die there? I died to the fucking chair?
Now, I have no idea why this inanimate object decided to take my life the way that it did, but I couldn't help but feel an evil presence of this chair. Like this chair was sent to sabotage my run by my evil twin, Unbutter. Regardless, I could go on for days about theories about why this chair attacked me for no reason, so I proceeded to give the chair the business and move on. After dying and having more breakdowns than I'd care to admit, I eventually came up with a plan to just run past them. But that plan, however, wouldn't last long, as I'd get gunned down by this turret, or this pair of chimps denying my rights to pass by. I was so close to giving up. But I suddenly had a spark of hope, as I found out you could enter this building where I had killed a sniper chicken earlier. After accessing an additional 1% of my brain power, I was able to use the beam rifle to take out the turret and the brutes guarding the door, allowing me to make a run past the hunters. However, just as we managed to dodge their attacks right until we reached the door, a hunter gave me a real bitch slap by blasting me right in the back. But it was fine, as we had gotten a checkpoint a few seconds ago. So I calmed my rage back down to 1, and after 2 hours of suffering and my rapidly dropping IQ, we had made it past this section. But little did I know at the time, the checkpoints were about to pull off a top 10 anime betrayals against me. As we approach the location of where Dare's pod crashed, we take out the grunts firing upon her pod, and just as we open up the pod to reveal the contents inside, it turns out to be empty. Shortly after, Bucky Bear is attacked by some sort of weird hentai creature, but is saved by his fellow squadmate with a sniper. But the weird tentacle thing explodes, sending Dare's helmet flying into the TV screen that Dave's cousin finds in the future. After a quick little gossip, Nathan Fillion and Nolan North come up with a plan to find the rest of the squad, and they leave the drop pod behind. So remember a few sentences ago I said that the checkpoints would turn on me? Yeah, here's where they decided to stop working. And what I mean by that is I might as well have had iron turned on with the amount of bullshit these checkpoints cause me, as every time I seem to die from here on, I got sent to the very start of the mission. With these checkpoints draining what life I had left behind my eyes, the streets had now become as bad as room temperature milk. I saw these same hallways more times than I would like to count. I died that much that it took me 40 minutes just to get to the next objective that was only 500 meters away. My aneurysm was reaching bursting point, and after getting my human rights abused on the way here, we finally managed to make it to the location where our objective was. I felt like I was finally making some progress in this game, but then Halo ODST decided to rip my happiness right from under me, and send this absolute beast of a sniper jackal to ruin my day, and he must have channeled the ability of the Halo 2 sniper jackal as he Thanos snapped me right out of existence. This hurt me, deep in my soul. This game was really testing my willpower not to slam Alt F4, as not only do I have to redo all this progress once again, I now have to find a carbine and save its ammo in order to take down that little fart sniffer. And after another 2 deaths, we were able to return to the objective and take down that flightless pest and find the drone camera. Mission 2 kickstarts with us joining Adam Baldwin in Uplift Reserve. This mission wouldn't have been as bad as it was if it wasn't for the checkpoint system being against me. Coming up to our first encounter, we managed to deal with these bunch of Neanderthals with no real hassle. We show off our incredible strength by flipping this Warthog, and we load it up full of Marines. But we're instantly EMP'd, and we are served up our first death of this mission. We're off to a great start. Returning to the start of the mission like we are Tom Cruise in Edge of... Oh wait, hang on. I already did that joke, didn't I? We are then forced to repeat this opening section for the next 40 minutes, as the sheer number of choppers, wraiths, ghosts, and grunts were all making generous donations to my reset counter. Once I'd finished bashing my head against my desk, we finally managed to get past the wraiths and into the next section, but all progress was immediately lost when this giant gorilla wanted to show me his brand new brute shot. Upon making it back to this section, we slowly edge our way forward with this Marine in the passenger seat, using the Spartan laser to take out the turrets ahead.
I'm a fire in my laser!
After struggling for almost an hour at this point, we managed to Mad Max our way into the firefight map, where we were able to find some health and a side serving of brute choppers that sent my blood pressure into orbit, as we were forcefully sent back to the start of the mission once again.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
By this point, I had to take a break before I ended up getting myself sectioned. But during my rest, I had the idea, what if I loaded up the mission from the rally point when I reached them, and after a number of deaths, that way I could still make some progress and not reset the entire mission after each death. The next day I tried this out, and guess what? Doing this seemed to have fixed the checkpoints. I have no idea why the checkpoints are like this, but this is the hand we are dealt with, so we're just going to have to roll with it. With this new case of dopamine being deployed to my prefrontal cortex, we were able to finally make some progress, not just in this mission, but within the whole game. It seemed like nothing could stop this little Marine now, as I was able to take risks once again, without getting punched in the joy department and sent back to the beginning of the mission. Upon crossing the bridge, we get a great view of the sky elevator come crashing down. We managed to mop up any Covenant along our way, as we climbed this slight incline, that in all honesty wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, and before I knew it, we had made it to the gap in the wall and drove our hog through, and we managed to beat the mission, just as Jane got flung from the Warthog and witnesses a drone ship come crashing into the statue behind him, and as he gets up to his feet, our trusty Warthog explodes.
Amen.
As we return to the future with Dave's cousin, the checkpoints were up to their old antics once again by refusing to work. So it seems the streets have now become a deathless run. Amazing. We start off this fever dream by trying to clear out this Covenant checkpoint, but this brute with a carbine was rapidly giving me a headache. But I had rapidly learned that the best way to deal with brutes in this game was to use the SMG to shred their armor and then one-tap them with a pistol. With this 300 IQ play, we were eventually able to show him who was boss. I will say though, the one thing I do like about the streets is that you get to listen to some funky jazz.
You like jazz?
As we approach our next obstacle, this jackal was clearly stream sniping and started to take shots at me, alerting the brutes and the floating hentai creature to our position. So I decided to do the manly thing and just run away. But as a famous person once said, every action has a consequence, and for me, That was a brute shot to the face. If I wasn't getting a good spanking within the first 60 seconds, or being turned into a puddle of soup in the streets, it was these sniper goblins that were doing their absolute best to stress test my patience at every turn. I was having a great time here. The Covenant in these streets were absolute demons, and after 11 more deaths, I started to feel like what it would feel like to be a GTA NPC, and after 2 hours of attempts and more deaths than I would like to admit, the game decided to finally take pity on me, as I found a shortcut through some buildings, and we were now within reach of our objective. But the game's kindness came at a price, however, as a Covenant patrol tried to stop me in my tracks. But I had stolen a Turkey's beam rifle beforehand, and I was able to pulverize these foul toilet bowl sniffers. Fast forward a handful of very frustrating attempts later, we finally made it to the Ghost turret, and I almost had a stroke, as this stream sniping hairless turkey almost sniped me in the face. Once I brought my cortisol levels back down to a normal level, we engaged in an epic sniper fight across the rooftops. Dave's cousin clearly came out on top, and we could finally, after time and patience and the correct ratio of bullets, we could finally inspect the turret and move on to the next mission, where we join Alan Tudyk. How do you say that?
Alan Tudyk.
Thank you. In the streets, as a tank and a squad of Marines run past him away from a Wraith, we join the Marines in running away as we blast past these Covenant with the rocket launcher, and we make a run for our Lord and Saviour of this mission, the Scorpion tank. Using the 66 tons of pure sexiness, we blast the Wraiths on any fools who think they could stop me. I did notice one thing while driving the tank, however, is that any damage I take while in the tank still affects my health, so I think that even the Covenant don't even want to scratch the paintwork of this beloved tank, so instead they just go straight for me. This turned out to be more or less true, as when we approached this checkpoint, some turnip shoots my tank with a fuel rod, and I was the only one who seemed to have died. The Marines in the tank were perfectly fine. I might just add tanks to my list of things I can't trust anymore. After I was given the most respectful entry to heaven, we roll back and begin to take things slow, and we carefully edge our way through the checkpoint. We make our way towards these security doors, just as this phantom rolls up in a cute attempt to stop us. But little did they know, nothing can stop me when I'm in a tank. Well, apart from an EMP.
God damn it!
Rolling on through, we come across more flying wildlife, and much like our browser history, we delete them from existence. We clear out the remaining Covenant before we meet up with Manly Man Major Mitchell, who was rocking a fancy cap. But just as I was admiring his cool headwear, we were interrupted by the anti-hat group, who were insisting that we remove our hats. Once my ammo was starting to run drier than my sex life, we hand Dave Dixon our rocket launcher in hopes that he would deal some damage. Spoiler alert, he didn't.
How could you do this to me? Question mark.
Upon reaching the top of this slight incline, we are forced into a holdout section where a Wraith decides to join the pie that we're about to have. This holdout section went as well as expected, as I instantly get smacked in the face by another brute shot, who forced me to call him Daddy.
What are you talking about?
Once I'd finished my daily servings of Daddy brute shots to the face, I then had the genius idea of charging the Wraith in hopes to take it down, but that ended with me hitting the floor harder than I do on a Saturday night. After I had finished consuming all the alcohol in my house, we made another attempt at dealing with this Wraith, and by that, I mean I stole the rocket launcher back and just used that to deal with the Wraith. That's it. With the Wraith out of the picture and the holdout complete, our Marines hold hands for a while, before they interrupted by an officer of the law who told them to stop the PDA and ask for their help with explosives. We rejoined Dave's cousin back in the streets for his quest to find his team and the city's porn servers. You guys thought I forgot about that, didn't you? As we make our way down off the roof, we begin to make some progress, before I end up bursting a major blood vessel, as the game had decided that now would be a funny time to throw stealth brutes, and wow, what a surprise, more sniper arseholes at me. Upon respawning, however, it appears our little Marine had too much to drink, as he just passed out mid-fight. I have no idea what killed me here, as nothing hit my character, and I went from near full health to dead. With our life expectancy now at a staggering minus 67.9%, we managed to make our way back to the holdout area once again, and begin to clear out these troublemakers. But without visor mode, it was really difficult to see these stealth brutes. It was like trying to hit a mosquito with a sniper rifle while falling from an aeroplane. Regardless, many deaths later, we managed to make it past this migraine-inducing part and into the tunnels, where we clear out these grunts with a plasma pistol, as all my other weapons had run out of ammo. Or maybe I'm just not good at saving my ammo. Who can say? As we walk our way towards the Onyu building, I will admit I struggled to find the next clue on the floor, as without visor mode I cannot see where it was, Also, not having a weapon flashlight didn't help either. But after crawling around on my hands and knees like Velma from Scooby-Doo, looking for the damn thing, I was eventually able to find it once I put my glasses back on. We start off this mission with a slight twist, as we join Officer John McClane and Wash on a bridge arming the bombs, just as a Wraith arrives to serve up a lovely dish of explosive plasma. K2SO, a high explosive expert, trusts this everyday cop to arm the remaining bombs to blow up the bridge. Makes perfect sense if you ask me. Once the bombs are armed, we come across the real enemy of this officer. This ladder. I struggled longer than I'd care to admit, but once I finished having a domestic with this ladder, we arm the explosives and watch as the bridge and myself explode. After having a small breakdown at my desk, because the same thing happened to me twice, we move on to the other side of the wall, where we run into our old friend, the Golden Hunters. I still haven't gotten over the last serving of ass kicking I got from these guys, and don't worry, they do the exact same thing here. A spoonful of resets later, and we are able to break past the Covenant line getting dropped off on our doorstep, and this cop demonstrates the amount of testosterone flowing through his veins, as we pick up and use the detached turret. Now I know in Mission 1 I said I wasn't going to use the turrets like this, and don't worry, I was instantly dished out some karma as this Gold Hunter reminded me of the rules by blasting me in the face. Just as we unalive these hunters with a Spartan laser, more troglodytes get dropped off and we are once again forced into another holdout. That brought on a worrying number of resets. It seems that Sonny and the rest of the Marines were off playing with crayons while I was out here fighting for my life. I spent longer here in this holdout than what was needed, as every time I would get close to beating this holdout section, I'd get blasted in the face by a daddy brute shot, or unfairly shot by a carbine. I'm really starting to miss that stamina feature right about now. 8 resets later, and we're finally able to retreat back inside the ONU building, where we find totally not Sergeant Stacker, and more explosives. While I was on this turret, it seemed that everything on this continent was instantly teleporting me to the afterlife, including our so-called teammate Mickey.
Mickey! Mickey, you absolute asshole! You saw me standing there.
It seems Mickey had started listening to the voices inside of his head and begun his fast-track path to betray the UNSC early, as he kept force-feeding a rocket into the back of my skull and to my fellow officers. After he did this to me a fair few times, I decided to revoke his rocket launcher privileges, but that didn't stop me from dying, however. And 90 more deaths later, we were finally able to survive long enough for another officer to arrive in the elevator, who offered us a lift to the roof where our Uber was going to meet us. While on the way up, I am sent into a fit of PTSD as the spawn of Satan himself makes an appearance, but they are dealt with before I could even kill a single one of them. Upon making it to the roof, I'm actually amazed that I didn't die in this section, as we encounter the flying monkeys and the chieftain, although I had to fight every inch of my body not to run up and kick him in the mini chieftains again. This fight on the roof was made fairly easy, as if you wait around for a bit, the Uber will turn up and the cop on the back will unload his massive weapon into these dingleberries. Even the chieftain didn't stand a chance as he went down fairly quick, though I'm pretty sure from the elevator onwards I didn't really kill many Covenant. It was really the AI that did most of the work. I just stood by and made them look pretty. As we board our Uber, we join a Discord call with a group of other officers back at the police station who are asking for a ride, so we decide to make a detour and fly away towards the police station, but not before we watch as the ONU building explodes. After a quick pee break and a call to my therapist, and after finishing my 5th quadruple vodka Red Bull of the night, we are back as Dave's cousin following the next set of clues towards the NMPD police station that was near 800 meters away. Fantastic. Our first encounter had already planned to turn me into minced meat, as the Covenant learned from Master Obi-Wan and was using his tactic of the high ground within this tunnel. With little to no cover for my fragile body, and just as I felt this brute's carbine enter my body without my consent, I am reminded of the absolute bullshit in this game. After an alarming number of resets being added to our ever-growing number of resets, I came up with this amazing idea of just charge at this brute to see what happens. And to my surprise, it actually worked. This Neanderthal was in such shock that a Marine with an SMG was pushing him that he didn't know what to do and just accepted his fate. Upon exiting the tunnel, we lay our eyes on a phantom dropping off some jetpack dingleberries, who wasted no time in sending me into the next dimension. Before I even knew it, a further 30 minutes had passed. That's 30 minutes of me getting my human rights absolutely violated by these jetpack douchebags, and the return of the Sniper Jackal Third Reich. only to be sent back to do the tunnel section all over again. Honestly, I couldn't tell you how many times a run would be going so well, only for it to end suddenly by what felt like a punch to my joy department by these sniper jackals. However, once we had mopped up these nerds, it was pretty much smooth sailing until we reached the broken sniper rifle dangling above. With the broken sniper secured, we looked up at the building as to where the sniper fell, in hopes to piece together what had happened. Okay, I knew this mission wasn't going to be fun, as with the game's inability to use scopes, and being a sniper-focused mission, this was going to be as much fun as a weekend on Epstein's Island. As the two officers of the law are about to be picked up by their Uber driver, the flying wildlife had something to say about that,
Do you honestly think you're fucking funny?
and proceed to shoot down our ride out of here, resulting in us going on a rescue mission to save the rest of our squad mates. We begin to make our way up some stairs and into the first fight of this mission, and not being able to use the scope on the sniper really put to light my below average aim, as I would miss most of my shots. However, once my ammo was running low, I traded my sniper with Nathan Fillion's assault rifle, but Malcolm Reynolds' AI seemed to be being operated by Bing, as no matter what weapon I would give him, he was pretty much next to useless, leaving me to fend for myself with little ammo. It was barely manageable and mostly resulting in a workplace accident along the way, which was about 99% my fault. Just as I showed off my COD no-scoping skills to these oversized chickens, I looked over and see a tragic sight. Headpool, our lifelong friend, was thrown off the building. I will now have to do the rest of this mission alone from here on out. Oh wait, he's fine. Never mind. Moving on. Before moving on to the next section, we stock up on some ammo. Not that having the ammo mattered, as I still missed 80% of my shots, but that's really not the point. After we fight our way through these jetpack arseholes, we make a disturbing discovery up ahead. There was a brute chieftain with a plasma turret, who was hell-bent on sending me back to the last checkpoint. As an epic fight breaks out with me and this King Knobhead, I rapidly run out of ammo, and I was about ready to accept my fate of going back to the last checkpoint. But John Nolan suddenly had a spark of intelligence. You see, Cade 6, knowing that I had just run out of ammo, he decided to run up to the brute and distract him long enough for me to run up to him and deliver a haymaker right to the back of his skull. With the chieftain down, it was now time to cross the crane over to Dutch and the traitor Mickey. Well, that's what I was hoping for, but this grunt fired this absolute Hail Mary of a fuel rod blast and slammed it into my face so hard that I was sent back to the start of the last encounter. Upon making it back, we showed this grunt what he stole from us. As we begin to cross the crane, the flying wildlife make a return, as they fly super low just to throw insults at us.
You're fucking garbage. You don't belong with snipers using a pistol like a little
What a dick. Joining the rest of our police unit, we are then forced into another holdout section. But with the number of weapons at my disposal, this really didn't take me long. Using Spartan lasers, rockets and turrets, we mop up the flying wildlife and any Covenant brave enough to land on this roof with 5 cops on it. I will say, I was almost sent into a fit of rage when the cutscene triggered at the same time as Nick Bishop decided to use his remaining brain cell and fired the Spartan laser directly into the back of my cranium, just as the cutscene began to play. The dopamine I felt being deployed to my brain just as I beat the mission had an expiry date of now. Just as I beat the mission, we were ripped out the cutscene and forced back to the last checkpoint, and I had to replay this brain rot once again.
Oh fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
Roughly 5 minutes later, we were back in the cutscene, and watched as Nolan North gets slammed in the chest by Harambe's hammer. The rest of the cops all worked together to take down this oversized chimp, and with the power of friendship, they were able to overcome him, and help up Romeo to his feet, and had to make another way off the roof, and out of the city. Before we could fold the sniper back into working order, we are rudely interrupted by some nosy neighbours. We haven't got far to go for this one, so hopefully there's not going to be much resistance. Okay, taking out these jetpack troglodytes, we were almost sent into the Shadow Realm, as this sneaky sniper jackal makes an attempt on my life, but I clearly had the fastest gun in the West, and I was able to outsnipe the sniper before the sniper could snipe me. I clearly get some well-deserved karma a few inches later, as when I am just 150 meters from the objective, I receive a sniper jackal blast to the face. I really do hate this game. Returning back, I change up my tactics and charge in at this group of troglodytes, and I manage to destroy a fusion coil, taking out the snipers with it. Very nice. To be honest, it didn't take me long to get to this next objective outside the subway station, and when we found the biofilm on the ground, we looked down into the subway, assuming that is where the rest of our squad mates went. And sure enough, just an hour before Dave's cousin got there, the rest of the squad are still carrying Richtofen come to a stop as they apply the white sticky stuff to the clearly fatal wound in his chest. As they make their way down into the subway, they discover that the way ahead has been flooded and is now filled with Covenant Phantoms and Banshees. Just an average day on the London Underground, really. Coming up with a great idea, Richard Castle's idea consisted on stealing a Phantom, and he was to cover them with a stolen Banshee, which was a good plan, with one simple drawback, however. I was the one who was executing this plan. As no word of a lie, just getting to the Phantom took me over half an hour of resets. I have no idea why I was struggling this much just to get to the Phantom, but I'm going to force all the blame on this little shit with the fuel rod who contributed to most of my deaths here alone. As we become the flying wildlife, the rest of this mission is pretty much easy as you would expect, as you mainly fly around taking out turrets, Banshees, and some foot soldiers who try to swat you out of the air. The only time I really got out the Banshee is when we are forced to open up this door in order to continue. We proceed to take out the anti-air wraiths in the next area with no issues, until we are forced to leave our Banshee once again, as this door ahead refuses to open, and we must go in alone. While in the Banshee I didn't die, but I had noticed that the game hadn't given me a checkpoint, and no word of a lie, within the first 10 seconds of me being on foot, I was instantly sent back to the start of the mission by this sneaky ninja that snuck up on me while I was distracted by the chieftain. One rally point checkpoint later, and we returned to the tunnel we had to fight our way through, this time with nothing more than an assault rifle. By this point, I think the alcohol I was forced to consume must have been affected my judgment, as I struggled to take down these assholes for a fair while. I do however get my hands on a carbine and a beam rifle to make this section somewhat more relaxing. However, upon fighting Mighty Joe Young, he activates his invincibility, preventing us to shit on him any further, and I make the executive decision to just nope out of there and make a run towards the way I came in, using our ODST controlled Phantom to our advantage to help take him down. I dare you, there's a Phantom waiting for you out here. Giggling like a schoolgirl at the master play I had just performed, we continue to open up the way for our Phantom, and upon leaving the tunnel, we discover a giant crab parked up, blocking our exit.
You can't park there, sir!
Using our previous knowledge from Halo 3, we use the tactic of flying our Banshee into the Scarab and boarding it. From there, we take out the core with a spike grenade and make a run back to our Banshee before it explodes. I think I might submit that clip to the Halo speedrunning community, as that was over way too fast. With the Scarab taken care of and the final door opened up, we fly past a ton of these flying hentai creatures' nests, as we blow them up and exit the London Underground. Once Nathan Fillion jumps on board the Serenity, and just as they begin to fly away, Nathan has a moment of realization, as he remembered the mission. He still had to get the city's porn collection to safety. You all thought I had forgotten about the plotline, didn't you? Well, to be honest, I did. Back outside the station, we receive a WhatsApp message in the group chat from Dare, stating that she has located the city's main porn hard drive, and is in need of backup. We first deal with these grunts who got a little too cocky with their confidence levels, and we come across a pair of hunters waiting for us. Getting flashbacks to the first mission, I decide not to go that way, and go towards the left side. This side was no better, as an army of pissed off guerrillas were there waiting for me, along with the chieftain with the fuel rod. This chieftain's presence here left me feeling uneasy. This guy was hunting me down, wanting to push my head in like Play-Doh. Up until now, we've been able to avoid some encounters, but these guys were cock-blocking my access to the door. Using the dumpster protection, we tried to take out the chieftain and his goons from range, but ammo was becoming scarce. So after a few force-fed resets, I came up with a plan that would result in us getting to the door with our life intact. It was basically just run for it. The plan almost worked first time, as we charged past the hunters and the jetpack arseholes, and upon reaching the door, we get our back doors slammed against the wall by the chieftain's rod launcher. On the second attempt, we managed to dodge the incoming shots and make it to the door, jumping onto the cable, and make our way down towards the city's porn hard drive. Upon reaching the bottom of the shaft, we get a voice note from Dare in the group chat saying that she's on sub-level 9 and running low on ammo. Glad to see that the famine skull isn't just affecting me. Starting off this mission, I had no idea why I chose to pick up this Halo 3 pea shooter instead of taking my pistol, but I guess my single remaining brain cell thought it would be a good idea at the time. Despite the potential this place had to rupture my growing jackal-shaped aneurysm, the easiest way I found to tackle this without being violated was to take things slow and use cover where I can. That was until I ran out of ammo. So, I went with plan B. Charge in with a plasma pistol. Moving into these circular rooms, I knew that these were going to cause me some headaches, as there is little to no cover, and with my ammo situation getting worse, and me refusing to let go of the Halo 3 shotgun for some reason. But I do manage to put the shotgun to use, as this oversized monkey deploys his shields thinking that he was safe, but was suddenly force-fed my barrel of my shotgun, like feeding a baby aeroplane style, and we're able to get our hands on the holy grail weapon of this mission. Moving further down, we cross paths with Officer John McClane once more, as he is also trying to get to the lower levels. As we raise this data stack, I was sent into a fear-induced panic, as the drones flood out of Satan's arsehole. With the drones dealt with fairly quickly, me and my new BFF Officer Dave 3.1 continued down and encountered some stealth brutes. All things seemed to be going well. That was until Dave 3.1 slapped me in the face with his cold hard betrayal.
Betrayed.
Now I'm not sure if he just got blood on his visor or was confused, but this betrayal hurt me. I could no longer trust Dave 3.1, as at any given moment, he could backstab me like that again. Moving through the next set of data stacks was proving more difficult than it needed to be, with my sworn nemesis blocking most of the walkways, and this giant orangutan charging me, that led to some tense firefights within these narrow halls. However, as we raised the final data stack to get to level 9, Dave 3.1 finally gets some karma dished out to him, as he is unalived off camera by a swarm of drones. That's what you get for backstabbing me. My satisfaction doesn't last long, however, as I receive the same treatment, roughly a second later. After successfully breaking the cycle of brute shot abuse, we almost run head first into a brute chieftain.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
8 resets later, the hairless chimps and his goons finally fell, and shortly after, we are reconnected with an old flame. Me and Flamey are reconnected once again. It's been a while since me and Flamey last met back in the flood hive of High Charity. It was like no time had passed at all for either of us. We were able to clear out the nearby Covenant with only 1 or 2 deaths, and with that, we were able to knock on the door, where we are greeted by Dare pointing her gun at our head. Dare begins to show us the Superintendent, where all of the city's porn servers are stored, and that the Covenant plan to upload their porn to the servers. From there, their porn can infect the whole planet's porn data. Okay, this porn storyline really needs to stop now. With no time to lose, me and Trisha Helfer must make our way through the drone's hive in order to reach the servers. I knew there was a catch. But it seems that Dare hasn't heard of teamwork before, as 90% of the time, she just charged past the nearby Covenant, and I'm left to deal with the consequences. Once I'd finished cleaning up Dare's mess, we managed to make it to the hive. My palms were sweaty, knees weak, arms heavy. I was nervous, and on the verge of a panic attack from being in here with so many flying aneurysms. But I put on my big boy pants, and I got to work. Upon completing Order 66 in the hive, it seems that the Covenant are already attempting to get inside the server room to upload their dirty hentai porn, so me and Dare rapidly get to putting a stop to them before they can get inside. And by that I mean I just stayed on the high ground sniping at the brutes with my carbine, like a brave little boy I am. We make our way inside the server room, only to find one of the Covenant's floating tentacle creatures already inside. Dare tells me not to shoot it, as she thinks this hentai creature has combined both human and Covenant servers to create a super server. She comes up with a plan. If we get this creature to safety and away from the Covenant, we can use this creature to corrupt the Covenant porn servers, helping us win the war. I'll be honest, I have no idea where this thinly pieced plot is even going anymore. They just seem to be getting worse, don't they? Just as Covenant reinforcements arrive, so does Nathan Fillion to save the day. Upon exiting the server room, I'm informed that not only do I have to look out for my own life, but the floating hentai creature as well. Fantastic. We clear out these nerds with no issues and rejoin Buck on the far side of the room, and we sneak past some sleeping drones before heading to the elevator out of here. While on the elevator, Dare proceeds to punch Buck in the face, and then kisses him. Our Marine looks at the creature as if to say that he doesn't understand women. Neither do I, Marine. That's probably why I'm single. Once the sexual tension was over, I was glad to have Covenant shooting at me again. and after a casual cleansing of a Covenant blockade ahead, we provide some ASMR rocket launcher murder to this floating turret station, before we head on over to the second elevator ride of this mission. As we exit the elevator, we see a bunch of Covenant ships in the sky above. Buck and Dare begin to have another domestic right in front of us children, causing the floating pink thing to act out and steal a nearby dump truck. Now this highway run was mostly straightforward, as it got off to an explosive start, as I ended up taking a fuel rod to the face. More than once.
Fuck!
Driving any vehicle in this mod is not a pleasant experience. As I stated before in Mission 3 and 4, any damage I take when I'm in a vehicle seems to directly affect my health and not damage the car. So it forced me into using a strategy of slowly pushing up, taking out a small group of Covenant at a time before advancing forward. All of that changed, however, as we came up to the Gauss Hog. All of the abuse we had received up to this point was about to be dealt back to the Covenant. Dealing out devastating damage to the local population of ghosts and flying wildlife, we managed to clear a path ahead for the dump truck that was slowly plodding along behind us. We do have a minor heart attack moment where I managed to flip the Warthog mid-firefight, but I was soon able to recover it before anyone saw the embarrassment I just took part in. Up ahead there was a Wraith blocking my path, ready to dish out a full-size portion of death to my fragile body. This Wraith must have been piloted by Jesus Christ himself, as no matter what I tried, I could not take it down. That was until I implemented the amazing strategy of driving backwards. This seems to confuse the pilot to the point where he just died of cringe. Moving a little further, my eyes lit up with excitement like a child on Christmas when I laid my sights on the Scorpion tank in front of me. With my favourite 66 tons of fun now in my possession once again, we blast past the flying wildlife, hellbent on ruining my time in this tank. Our fun in the tank was short-lived, however, as the dump truck took an oversized crab's laser to the face.
I'm a firing my laser!
One dead meme later, we were forced to get off the highway and clear out an area up ahead, and by clearing out I mean that there were only 2 grunts defending this place. Top level security, I must say. With the pawn creatures safe, we are then forced into another holdout section, while we wait for the traitor Mickey to come pick us up in his Uber. As soon as the fighting started, I made my way to the high ground, and used the turret and sniper to try and thin out these troglodytes, making a move on our territory. The fight didn't last long though, as I ended up taking a fuel rod straight to the face once again. But this was the last time I died here.
That was a lie.
Several deaths and 1 burst blood vessel later, we managed to hold out long enough for the Uber to arrive. Just as we were about to get on board, a Covey cruiser shows up and is about to cook us to well done. The floating pink testicle refuses to board the Serenity, but Buck ends up pushing it on board, so he has no choice but to come with us now. And with that, we fly our Uber to safety, with the city's porn servers, like my virginity, intact. 1 month after that fateful night, the sex machine Johnson comes to visit the floating testicle, demanding to get access to the servers of porn that it has access to. The creature agrees to the terms and lights Johnson's cigar to seal the deal. And with that, we bring this side story to a close, and I beat Halo 3 ODST on Legendary as a Marine. Playing this challenge was a lot of fun and really difficult in most places. The checkpoints not working in the streets at times really made me want to pull my hair out, and not having the stamina feature mixed in with some skulls really made fighting in this game really tense. I hope you enjoyed this one, as some sections took me over 2 hours of bashing my head against the wall to try and get past. I hope it was worth my mental health. A huge shout out to the Marshall 1 for creating such an amazing and challenging mod. I really hope you enjoyed my suffering for the 4th time. Before we end this video, I just want to say a huge thank you to our channel members, who are on screen now. If you would like to become a member, you can click the join button on my channel page. You don't have to if you don't want to, it's completely optional. Now, with ODST complete, I can relax and not worry about having to do another challenge run for a good long...
Fuck!